it's scary.
My golly, tell them to slow the hell down.
Well, they say that the Pilgrims left a monument, a blueprint as to the underpinning, the structure, why the nation at its very most vulnerable and difficult times, again, following virtue into vice and having too much, working against the foundation. So the Pilgrims left a monument, a blueprint, and the monument is in Plymouth Rock. It's a 180-ton solid granite structure, the Matrix of Liberty, and the first. It has people that are holding books and that are given names like Faith, and it points the finger. The woman that is Faith points the finger up to God.
What's that finger?
That's a finger.
Which finger are we talking about?
I think this one.
Okay, that one. All right.
And it points the finger to God, and she also has an open Bible. So they're saying the first aspect of a nation to be grounded properly is in the Christian Bible and in faith in God. And the second character is depicted as morality and internal character, holds the Ten Commandments, and is showing that these things must be written in the heart of people. And the
kind of what we're talking about with the
absolutely
divine indwelling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, they had divine. Yeah, that's right. They probably had.
They're more Catholic than they knew. I'm telling you.
Well, probably so.
Well, they had. Virtue is not just a Catholic thing.
The evangelist would promote the gospel. They said this is also a part of the integrity and the stability of a nation, and one wanting to do what's right. And now, this in particular is important, evangelist, to promote the gospel, because this is what's being called of the children, specifically in the United States and throughout the world, to re-evangelize the world. This is the mission of and the action that's being called for in the children having the divine indwelling, and then going forward and re-evangelizing the world with the same sense of purpose and virtue. So what he was asking, Cameron was going, why are we so mixed up? Well, we're not doing these things. Because these are the things of the past that he talked about. They don't care about that. They want to know what else is in it for them. And you said it's not only that they don't care about them in the past, they're accusing them in the past of being murderers of whatever they think it is.
If they hadn't done that, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's all their fault.
Right. So what else can you give me?
Yeah, well, so I'm just going to take. And then they want to take what you went and built and worked for as a community of people, and then they would say, well, you didn't do that. You did it on borrowed land or stolen land and all like that. You got to give all that back to all these people who didn't do it. It was their land.
Crazy, right, yeah.
Well, you know what? It was somebody else's land before that, and it was somebody else's land before that.
That's right.
This is how life goes. You want to go see the bones?
Right.
Okay.
No, that's right.
These idiots out there want to keep talking about we're on
something
stolen
for nothing
land.
again, don't they?
Well, somebody took it from the frickin' animals, okay? So it's like, how far does a Wayback Machine go? I mean, when do we say, okay, here's where it starts? They can't. They have to have their virtue statement, because it's the only thing that makes them feel good about their apathy.
And it's superficial. Their statement is very superficial.
And it's very unintelligent.
Right.
But this is what happens with this apathy.
Right.
Don't blame me. It's not me. It's them. And I'm going to fix all these wrongs because I'm the one who's dealing with all the thinking.
And you see that self-righteous, indignant, pompous in the Democrats. A lot of them that have this liberal idea that's almost like they really think they got it together, and you're thinking you're a whack job, and you don't see it. They don't see it.
Well, you see a lot of times in conservative views too that goes way too far the other way.
To the right, yeah.
which makes it intolerable and undigestible
Right.
for other folks.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You got to have something that the people say, well, you got to be, moving, people towards the Catholic Church. I said, no. I said, I'm not here to evangelize and tell people they got to be Catholic. I just want to get them thinking in the right direction. We got half our population doesn't know, doesn't give a shit, doesn't know what's up.
Right.
And I'm after those people at least have some sort of thought about this. But how do you do it when half your population's never been inside a church, never been baptized, never had their parents have the concern? Because they grew up in these mid steps here, we had all the surplus. There wasn't this struggle that was going on. And with this whole decline that was happening, it used to be that a baby was born and they'd get that thing, baptized immediately because the infant mortality.
And they
The
want
baby's gonna die.
And they want God to claim the soul of the child. They want that to be. I dedicate my child to Christ, to God. And you go through the sacrament of baptism. I had a thought, and then it.
I don't know. Well, nowadays you got people, if they do get baptized, they'll wait a year, 2, 3, or wait till the kid turns 13 or whatever, so that they can decide.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how
it
it's
really
supposed
is
to
the
work.
family to set in motion the spiritual underpinnings of a child. It's when there's other things when you're 12, we have in the Catholic Church that they call confirmation, which is now you as a man or a 12-year-old, a person of reason, now consciously begins to pursue through the sacrament of.
And we may need to rethink that. 12 being an age of reason. It's like, what is going on? What are their thoughts? That's going on. I've seen some pretty batshit crazy stuff coming out of kids.
No, in this day and age, we see it.
Yeah, no,
but,
I'm thinking we may need to rethink that because I don't even think the kids, even at 12 or 13 years old, know what's going on.
No, well, I'm not sure that the sacrament requires knowledge. I think the sacrament is a gift of the knowledge of the soul to begin to pursue. And even with that, I mean, I got lost. You get lost at some point. You all know what the world can do to you. So the evangelist aspect of one of the characters in this monument was evangelization and promotion of the gospel. And you want to do what's right. And then God's law, civil law must be based on God's law. And then mercy and justice. That within the law there's mercy and there's also justice and equality under the law. So both mercy and justice God can provide, and that people need to pursue, but our laws must be serving God's law. So the Ten Commandments, and if you don't have that, there is no justice. Who was it? One of the great attorneys, F. Lee Bailey, said, "If you got a lot of money, you get a lot of justice. If you ain't got a lot of money, you don't get a lot of justice."
Right.
So it's, unless there's that Christian underpinning, it's a free-for-all. Mercy and grace is also those laws. And the other
Mercy and
person.
Grace, those are the gals that work over at the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know those gals.
Yeah, they give you the food.
Mercy and Grace.
Gracie and Gracie too.
One gives you the soup, the other one gives you the bread.
Now, this is another thing that Larry's mentioned in terms of formation, but it's not only the formation of a priest or a nun, it's also the formation of we as parents, as brothers and sisters and stuff. Education and training of the children. Youth, and the training in the home and the internal morality and wisdom of the Ten Commandments also being taught in the home. So a component of the stability of a nation that rises also depends on the formation through education.
Well, the education is the underpinning of everything, of all thought processes that come out of it. So the experience that you live is the reality that you make for yourself. So, everyone who says, well, what is normal? Well, normal is a scale that takes in everyone's attitude about things. But when you have somebody that comes in and is so outside of the norm, they say, well, but it's normal for this person. You can't take this person's normal and put it in the whole scope of things. It's just going to be a slice that comes out of that. That can't be considered normal. This can be considered aberrant. So what we have to do is understand that normal has been, as a word, has been abused.
You're saying normal is now being relative.
Well, normal comes down, relative to what they want to
What
point
they want
out.
to be, right.
Right.
So
it's not.
Right. There are truths.
It's a fictional
Ideal.
reality that they're trying
Absolutely,
to push.
sure.
And everyone is going to have their own fictional
Well, then it
reality.
becomes a free-for-all then.
Well, that's what we have.
Right.
And so
That's right.
you got this, how many, how many sexes are there? Well, those are genders, and those are dysfunctional kind of thinking too. But they say, well, there's a scale.
See, I can't even wrap my head around that people can even think in those terms.
But they're trying to rationalize their own ill-developed thinking.
Yeah.
Because they're in this midst here, this apathy. Everything goes. Blame the forefathers, blame your mother, blame your father.
Take the statues down south that those generals never.
Oh yeah.
Were reputable or should be.
Take the statues down, burn the industry. We love electric cars. Oh, but we hate this electric car. We're going to destroy them. These types of things. These are all virtue signals that don't make any sense in the organized argument. So you got problems going on, but we're in this apathy stage right now, and which is level 7, which turns into dependence. And so we're actually, I think, gone from apathy, like, oh, what's it matter? What's it hurt? Now everyone's becoming more dependent on things.
On that illogic and on that craziness.
And to not be self-sufficient. They're dependent on somebody else.
If you tell me that there's 6 different genders, the state, you tell me, then okay, I go along with that.
But then I talk with somebody else, they say, well, it's not 6, there's as many as 50.
Oh, okay. So I'll get a book.
Depending on which nut job you want to talk with, who wants to bend the reality to their.
So how do you break that?
Well, you walk away from it, and you also then have to sort of mock it.
Okay.
And say, look, you're out of your mind. When you grow up and want to talk, and what you do is you cut them off. You don't support them. Kid can go hungry a couple nights. Hunger is a great motivator.
Yeah.
So quit giving your kid, the Visa card and tell him he can go buy a pizza or whatever, when he wants to argue with you about, his feelings and how you're the ruin and you're ruining everything. And, oh my God, I'm a girl.
Yeah, that's gone too far. I mean, there's always a natural rebellion against parents in the process of growing up, where you're seeking to be independent and you still feel dependent on your mother and your father and stuff. But this is different. This is very different than just a natural sense of growing up and breaking away and then knowing that you're still together even though you're apart.
It's a crazy psychosis. It's a crazy psychosis, which is this mania, which has taken over. And it's not been fostered out of the men so much, but out of the females. And this is how manias go. Whenever there's this mania that happens in societies or in cultures, it's usually the younger women who drive it because they're more susceptible to that naturally. When you have a fan base for like music,
right? Like
the Beatles, it wasn't the young boys driving it was young girls.
Oh yeah, screaming.
The Taylor Swift stuff is not a bunch of young guys. It's a bunch of young girls.
Yeah. What's the deal on that?
I don't know. I don't care. Okay. But I'm just saying that she got a huge
fan
base, and she's marrying an idiot.
Right.
But he's a big idiot who can protect her. So she's looking for some basics, somebody who can protect her in a crowd and all like that, which she's smart to have.
Yeah.
But the guy can't spell and he can't read. He's an NFL tight end.
Well, then there's something very sinister about being an idol with a bunch of people applauding for you. There's something about that is
the
not.
narcissism of people around you telling you you're great. It's like I talk about the left-handed pitchers. They came up. Typically, the further I went up the chain in baseball, and I was a catcher, the goofier the left-handed pitchers got.
Yeah.
Because the better they are, the more they were coddled and told how great they were
Right.
as younger boys. And then no one ever shut them down and said, you can't do that or stop doing that.
Right.
They just let them go. We need our lefties because they were so rare.
Right.
But the lefties a lot of times are the biggest head cases out there.
Yeah.
So
Who's that lady that sang in the Titanic? The voice. She has a beautiful voice. She sang that Titanic song.
so it's Celine Dion.
Yeah. So Celine Dion, I saw.
Oh, there's a head case for you.
Well, I saw on the internet. She has a beautiful, God-given voice. Her philosophy is bankrupt, but they showed a thing that she did a commercial of babies. You see this?
Yeah, I did. It was very, very
Disturbing.
well. It was very evil in its premise. But she was coming up with a non-gender specific clothing line or something like the asexual.
That's asexual clothing
Okay.
line.
Now I want to tell you a backstory on
All
this.
right.
Trying to think about what it was previous to 2000, I think. Maybe it was after 2000, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was out in Las Vegas, staying at the Bellagio because that was the place to.
Yeah.
I wasn't staying there; I was eating there. I couldn't afford to stay there, but we were in the Bellagio having dinner, and she walks in with her entourage. Celine Dion does, and they had his room set off the side for her. So she comes in with like 12, 16 people, I don't know. But she's got this little kid who's dressed up like a little army dictator. It's her son. And her son had this long hair down in the middle of his back, just you couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl, but it was dressed up. He was playing army or something. But everyone stopped because this boy was there. But you couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really weird.
Wow.
And I turned to my wife, I was married at the time, and I said, that's going to be one fucked up kid.
No kidding.
And she goes, why? I said, the kid doesn't know what's real. She goes, well, he's just a kid. I said, he's got to
That's
be at
the
least
point,
7
yeah.
or 8 years old.
Yeah. Nonetheless, right.
I said, that's going to be one fucked up kid.
Yeah.
And then she comes out with this asexual. So I don't know how she raised her son.
Well, she
If that was
overindulged
her
him,
son.
and I don't think that there was never. I don't know much about her background, but there was no underpinning of Christ or the cross, or So, but she rose. I often wondered because when I'd go to Vegas, Celine Dion, who cared? You know what I mean? Celine Dion. When I heard her voice, I go, my God, this lady's got a powerful voice, a beautiful voice. But then I saw this thing on the
Yeah,
internet.
the ad was nasty.
They have the boys in blue, right, and they have the girls in pink.
They're going down a new maternity ward, the new arrivals' babies. They got the pink ones on the left, the blue ones on the right, with all the symbolism of boys and girls and all like that.
And
then she walks in.
and blows out some goofy confetti.
It was like a fairy dust, but it was black.
And then what happened? The kids were shown as
All non-gender specific, all asexual. They're all the same. Boys and girls were all the same.
and they can choose what they want to be.
They're all dressed
yeah,
totally in black and white because she said you don't know who you're going to choose to be.
that's right. And shortly after that is when she went into this disease that took her voice. Not only her voice, it took her ability to move, to walk, and she was in contortion and she was suffering.
Is she still like that?
Well, she came back to do a song, was able to do a song because they worked on her, but she doesn't have the same power in the voice or the longevity or the endurance of being. She can't be on stage anymore. She can do a song.
It was one of the more evil, I think, ads. I think I've
no,
ever
absolutely.
seen.
You can't mock God, Celine.
Well, you can't mock nature.
Well, even that, right? Forget
And
about it.
you start off with these beautiful boys and girls,
Right.
newborns,
Good point, Larry.
you know, and you start off with something so perfectly beautiful.
And you want to.
And then by the end of it, you're going, oh my God, I want to save those kids.
And the other thing is, Celine, how much money do you've made tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, you don't need to sell a line of clothes. What's wrong with you?
She wasn't selling the clothes. She was selling a woke ideology.
She didn't need the money then.
She didn't need to do the clothes.
So
Somebody came to her and told her that she would be a hero in this community. She's probably got this screwed up kid who is part of this community.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to send out the signal to her kid, you know, that mommy's got your back. And mommy didn't need the money, but somebody used her
Right.
for their agenda. And it's just terrible. And this is where everything has gone because people, the stupid people, give up their ideas about using their own practical senses and, you know, critical thinking about things because some celebrity has this beautiful, powerful voice, told them that this is the way that nice people behave. You know, good people do this.
the gift-
Bad people call them boys and girls.
Okay. So
Good people,
she
good
bought into
people
it.
let them decide what they want to be.
And she went in. She
She went all in on it, and if what you said has happened, then she paid for it dearly.
Absolutely. Well, you know, what's a soul worth? If God wants your soul, Celine, he'll squeeze you. Ask this guy. He'll squeeze you until there's nothing. It ain't a pretty sight.
Well, until you understand, but this was a very, very sinister, and I think evil
Absolutely.
type of premise on this thing, and it was very dark. So, and I don't know if there was any. I don't think I've ever seen the clothing. Thank heaven for that. But it was just a very poor use of a wonderful talent.
She's very dedicated to her husband. She's very loyal to her
Well,
husband.
he's dead.
Is he gone
Oh yeah, he's been dead.
for a while?
Yeah.
I'm still
got a
watching
chance.
Tyson fight, so this
Oh,
latest news.
I thought maybe you say you got a chance. So